What's up YouTube, Pewsily here with my top 32 Infernity deck profile for 2014, so second top in a row with Infernity, all is good. I'm just going to run straight through the deck profile and then I'll have a tournament report after and just the general sort of pros and cons of the event. So yeah, I'll just get straight into it really. So you got the obvious 3 Archfiend and 3 Necromancer, gotta be DT, gotta get the shiny in there. I then chose to play 2 Summoner Monk rather than Template Goldfish, and the reason behind this is the Effect Veiler isn't seeing very much play at the moment, so that's part of the reason that guys like Rejugo Tagores played Template Goldfish, so you don't lose as hard to Effect Veiler. So Summoner Monk actually does more for you than Template does, like being able to get things out of the grave, being dark for out the deck, being dark for Key Beetle, letting you make Exciton Knight more easily, and it just makes you do stupid explosions, whereas Template just requires you having more cards in hand and things. So the Template makes your deck, I think, more consistent, but it makes your bad hands worse because there's less ways to get out of them because you don't play Grepher, and this obviously digs for Grepher and things like that. So I just think overall this is the better card. Next up, just the 2 Street Patrol, because I'm not playing the Templates, but 2 is fine. I mean, there's always a couple of times when you want 3, but I just really don't know what I'd cut for a third, so 2 is fine. You got the 1 Grepher and the 1 Armageddon Knight, so like I said before, the 1-1 ratio just works fine for me. I like Grepher a lot because it makes your bad hands better, basically, and Armageddon Knight's always good. Then rounding off at 13 monsters, you got Heiress. I drew this so much, it was silly. Pretty sure over the course of, I think it was 9 rounds, I must have drawn it probably 10, 11 times. It's absolutely stupid how much I drew it, but, you know, the things that it does for you makes up for it. So that's 13 monsters. Onto the spells, you got the obvious launcher, doesn't need explaining. I then chose to play 3 Soul Charge. Now, Soul Charge was actually the reason I ran the deck in the first place. It's just stupid. You can open, for instance, just Armageddon Knight and Soul Charge, and you can make plays. So it makes it more consistent that you can do your unfair Infernity things first turn. I chose to play 3 just because I want to see it. A lot of people obviously going to run 2 because it will clog in your hand. But and I have the same feeling about this with Instant Fusion as well, because you can only activate 1 per turn. But I would actually rather draw multiples and see it than not see it at all, because they do so much for you, and it's just that simple, really. So like I say, 3 Instant Fusion. Major reason for this is being able to make Exciton Knight first turn if you go second, which I did over and over and over again. I mean, guys, seriously, you have an answer to Exciton if you're going to set your whole hand. You're also running Dark Fusion, so you can make Master Key Beetle off the end of your chain if you've got Vanity's Emptiness in your hand. It's just way too good. If you only open 1 monster, you can still do plays, so 3 Instant Fusion is the way to go. Got the 1 Foolish Burial, again, has to be DT. Obvious Rosa, and the Book of Moon. Reason for that is a lot of people are going to be playing Trap Stun to get around Vanity's Emptiness locks and things like that, or even Royal Decree, and Book of Moon helps you play around those. The 1 Labyrinth, because you're running Heiress, and just 2 MST. The reason I'm running 2 there is because I want the back row hate, but I don't think MST's hugely important right now. You want to be able to see it so that you can hit things like Kaiser Colosseum, Skill Drain, etc. But I mean, going in the first game, if you're going against something like Gear or just back row heavy decks, the 1 MST isn't going to do a lot for you. So I'm actually playing Trapstun as well to make up for this. I do have a lot of back row hate in the deck, but I just think MST, they're in the deck to hit problem floodgate cards like Kaiser Colosseum. The other cards like heavy back rows and things can be dealt with in other ways. So that's 13 spells. Onto the traps, you've got the 1 Barrier now and the 3 Infernity Break. And people are only just starting to realise how good Break is now. People are searching for it more. I mean, if you check my last year's deck profile when I top that there with Infernity, I ran 3 then, and it's just amazing. So again, you can use this to take out back row, problematic monsters, and you use it a huge amount of the time if you've gone first and searched them in the end phase, just to pop back row so that you can push for game safely. So you've got those. Then 2 Vanity's Emptiness, because it's just amazing right now. It's so good. It stops everything, really. Apart from, like, Evil Swarms, maybe. I'd potentially even keep it in against them. but things like Bujin it's not going to hit, but everything else it does. And like I say, you can make Master Key Beetle to protect it, and pretty much Trap Stun's like the only way around it, or Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Then you've got the good one-off traps, the Warning, TT, Bottomless and Compulse. So they're all pretty standard. I played the Compulse as a way to break first turn boards that involve like Equipped Anganeer and things like that. So they all worked out fine. Then 2 Wiretap I actually played. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I mean, when it was good, it was very, very good. Being a counter trap, it forces through your plays. So if your opponent has any response to like an Exciton summon, you can negate it. So obviously you trump Warning. But I mean, I don't know. Obviously, if you're going first, it does nothing for you. So I potentially would have preferred it to be more things to help me go off more consistently. But I mean, I lost 6 of my 9 die rolls in the Swiss. So it's really good helping you when you go second. So I potentially maybe drop one for the MST. Maybe go back to 3 MST. I don't know. I'll have to test some more. And then lastly, like I said, is 2 Trapstem. For those games where it's just hugely back heavy. And multiple times even just went flip Trapstun, attack the game. Just safely. So that's the main deck. It's 40, obviously. Just get everything out of the way. We'll do extra deck. So again, more DT. You got to play DT. 3 Lavable Chain. I really like running 3. You can get away with running 2, but 3 is good because there are actually combos that are available to you to keep going off. Whereas if you only ran 2, you'd end up with less monsters and less searches. So for now, I play 3, but as more really good cards or rank 4s come out, I'll probably cut it down to 2. Got the one obvious Exciton. There were even actually times I wish I had 2. So if you summoned it into a Black Horn, but you could then summon a second if you had Soul Charge, for instance. So you could like normal summon, play Instant Fusion, summon this, and the Black Horn it, you could then Soul Charge and make the second. So I would potentially play, think at least about playing 2, but this is amazing. It's just going second, this is what wins you the game. You then have the obvious 2 Direwolf, just because you need to play 2. 101, which I think was probably my least summoned card, maybe? I mean, it's 101, so you kind of have to play it, but, you know. Black Ship of Corn I played as well, and this thing was amazing because it wrecks the Fire and Ice hand, and obviously the Bujins as well, because it plays around Bujinji Hair. But the main reason was for the hands, and it sends, not destroys. So this got rid of, I think, 5 or 6 hands throughout the course of the tournament. It put in so much work. Master Key Beetle is amazing. Gagaga Cowboy is really good as well for those times when you end with 4 1800 attack monsters and then you Cowboy for game. Dweller also stops the hands, but is obviously good against Muramaz, etc. as well. 2 Leviair as my only rank 3s because I'm not playing a level 3 fusion. So the 2 Leviairs, just because of the huge combos that you can do. I don't really like Zen mains in this because when you make it, you're losing, and it's, I don't know, you just kind of have to sack off of it, and it just doesn't pull its weight. And then lastly, 2 level 4 fusions. Not playing a level 3 because, like I said, it doesn't pull its weight. You know, the times that you need to go into it, making a Leviair isn't really going to win you the game, and so that means you're going to be going to Zen mains, whereas if you cut those 2, you can play things which will potentially win you the game instead. It's dark, so it's a Key Beetle fodder, and it gets under Bottomless as well, so play this, don't play Dark Fire Dragon, because it's just better. So there's that, and then the side deck. There's 1 Dark Hole, which was for first turn board setups like Murmouse or Infernity, the 3rd MST and a Twister, and they went in pretty much every game. I mean the Twister not always, but pretty much always the MST. Then 2 Debunk, which would go in. I had an Infernity Mirror and it went in for that because Stygian Street Patrol is really important, but it was there for Murmouse of course and Dragons. 3 Black Horn of Heaven was actually a last minute decision because in the hotel the night before there were so many Gear players, like you don't even know. I'm pretty sure 50% of the people in our hotel were playing Gear. It's ridiculous. Then 1 Needle Ceiling because it's the best answer to going second against Infernity. They do their first turn splurge, you can just set this, and if they don't destroy it in the end phase, then during the draw phase or standby phase after the draw, you play this, and obviously they can't respond with Barrier, so it's just good. And then 2 Tyrant's Tummy Ache, because it's amazing. If you don't know what it is, it's a continuous trap. You activate by tributing 1 monster, then neither player can special summon a level 6 or higher monster. And if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, destroy this card. So you're playing Infernity, so you're never really going to have 3 or more cards in hand, and it just shuts out dragons and Mermail. So it's amazing. And again, you can protect it with Key Beetle, so that's good. You then have your 2 Lightning Prism Mirrors, and they have to be DT. So they went in obviously for Bujin, because there were a lot of Bujin as well, and Hieratics just in case. And then lastly, just Defissure and Soul Drain. Because you can play around the Defissure, because Xyz materials go to the grave, and Soul Drain is completely fine after you've used your Stygian Troop Strolls. So that's the deck profile. Onto the actual tournament report itself. It was 9 rounds of Swiss with 470 something players in the end. Round 1 I was on table 190 and I actually had a no-show. I don't know why you'd enter nationals and then not show up for round 1, but you know, maybe he pre-regged and got wrecked of the night or something, I don't know. Round 2 was against Evil Swarm on table 82. Sorry, I don't know why I got 120 from. I won the die roll. I combo off, do unfair things. Turn 1, he draws a 6 card and instant scoops. I actually know the guy, so I assume he's running something tier because he normally does. So I sided as if it was dragons or Mermail. So the time it's tummy aches and debunks and things. Then he goes first and makes Evil Swarm Ophion. He's got Macro and Vanity's Emptiness as well, so that's just a complete blowout. Then game 3, I open with the combo again. Not a full combo, so he doesn't insta scoop, but I can deal with his back row. I stop and Xyz. I stop. He makes an Exciton, which I stop. He then soul charges, and I have Book of Moon to put 1 face down because I assume he's running 2. I MST and Infernity break his 2 back row, run over his monsters, and it's just game over next turn. Round 3 was actually against a very interesting deck of Gear mixed with hands, which is pretty cool. The hands were there, I assume, just to deal with random things, and he could set a hand and bluff the armor, and if they had Dark Hole or run over it or something, he can then pull back advantage. So it's actually a pretty cool idea. The hands themselves don't really work against Infernity because you play around them so ridiculously well. Like, hands are not good against this deck for some reason. Anyway, after a long grind game 1, I play through his back row and I win. It was a very long game. I think it was about 20 minutes. But I just pull it through because he sees lots of hands and lots of monsters, so I can just win. Game 2, he saw lots of side cards, and I'm pretty sure he had armor and gear. I didn't open with any real unfair plays, so he pulls that out and win. Then game 3, I'm going first. Unfortunately, I don't open with a combo, but he has a macro. And I played really badly around it, so it was my own fault, and I lose that. And I always lose round 3 for some reason. So anyway, I'm now 2-1 at this point. Going into round 4, play against Prophecy on table 51. I lose the dice roll, and he opens with like Secrets, Blue Boy, and I think Master as well. So he has like everything he needs to do stupid stuff like Prophecy do. And I genuinely consider scooping and hiding what I'm playing. But he doesn't search the Fate. And I'd seen it off of that thing that reveals 3, I can't remember what it's called. So I knew he didn't have it, and he didn't search it, so I decided to carry on playing, and I managed to get an Exciton Knight through. So he had like 4 back row and no response to an Exciton. So like all of a sudden he had like 2 cards in hand to my 5, and I was back in the game. So he grind it out and I win. Then game 2, it's first turn Exciton again, and that was it. So he didn't have enough to Fate, I believe, and I just get an Exciton through. So that's basically what you do when you're going second, so I win that one. Then round 5, I actually go down tables to table 60. I'm not sure how that works. And I end up against Noble Knights, which is, to be honest, a very easy matchup for this because you have so many cards that can stop just the summon. And that was basically my plan, to stop the summon of his first monster. But anyway, I go first. It was a very fun and enjoyable game. But I mean, if you watch my collage video, I caught up with him afterwards and did the very quick thing with him afterwards, and we laughed about with him a bit. I kept up talking to him afterwards. Very funny game, but I just sort of destroyed him after I didn't allow him to get a monster on board. He's got a lot of dead equips that aren't going to stop me doing anything, and I dick him. But he didn't see a Madrort combo either game, so it's kind of unlucky on his part. Then moving on to round 6, up to table 17 now, so we're getting up there. I play against Bujin and I lose the die roll, so of course he opens Kaiser and Yamato with back row, because of course he does. One of the back row is Blackhorn as well, and I just can't play around all of it. So we go to game 2. I don't open with any real combo. Again, he opens Kaiser, Yamato, Blackhorn, and he has hand traps this time as well. We grind it out though, because I'm pretty sure after that he starts drawing badly, whereas I have my Infernity traps online. Then game 3, he opens Yamato again, because of course he does. He has Blackhorn again and hand traps. I'm pretty sure he has a Vanities, but I'm not 100% sure. He doesn't have the Kaiser though, but I can't play around all of the good cards that he's got, so it was just sort of game over for there. It was very frustrating that he opened very well all 3 games, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Go on to round 7, I'm on table 44 against Prophecy, and I'm really not sure how the Prophecy matchup is against this. I mean, I kind of fear the Prophecy matchup, but I beat both of them, so maybe it's not something I should be fearing. I lost the die roll, and then he gets me down to 3k. I don't open with any sort of real explosion. He's just whittling me down with like blue boys, and I think he had a priestess as well, which he had on board. But I'm whittling his cards down as well as I do it. So when I eventually get some play set up and can get like my Infernity combos off and get my traps online, it's pretty much over for him. Game 2 was just a case of I open terrible and he's like, attack for 500, attack for 500, and then it went to him. Game 3 I opened half decent going first, so I took it pretty easily. I just kept his spellcasters off the board to keep a lot of his spells offline, so there was that. Then round 8 we go up to table 40 against what I'm calling handy fists, so it's just like bear control with hands. The guy just didn't know what Infernity cards did. I activated a Stygian Street Patrol as well. I just go, Stygian Street Patrol, is that okay? And then he's like, yeah, that's fine. Special summon the Archfiend effect, and he's like, I'm going to warning. It's way too late for that. And then he tried to say I didn't give him a chance to respond, and I clearly did. And then he relented on that. But he then tried to warning the launcher, which I had to explain he couldn't do. He called over a judge, and he just said, the judge goes, what's the problem? And I go, warning versus launcher. He's like, yep, doesn't work. So I win that one easily. And then game 2, he goes first. Doesn't really do anything. He just like summons a monster, sets back row. I can't really do anything on my first turn, but on my second turn, I do huge Infernity combos. I managed to clear both his monsters and all of his back row, and he kept saying, can you play faster please, can you play faster please. Like each individual play was at a reasonable pace. I feel my turn took 8 or 9 minutes, but each individual play was okay. I just think he was incredibly salty that I dealt with his whole board. I knew he had a Wolfbark in hand because he'd searched it. He had a bear and a Wolfbark, and I had barrier and break. There was no way he was coming back from it. So I just sort of got a bit sarcastic with him, and he said, can you hurry up? Your turn's taking 8 minutes. And I said, well, I'm pretty much done because I can't have my battle phases if you soul charge, and you're not coming back from this, so end turn. And then he summoned an ice hand, swung it into a monster, and I was like, that's fine. He's like, ice hand effect, barrier. He read barrier like 2 or 3 times throughout the course, and he didn't realise he could stop his ice hand. So, whatever. Round 9, now up to table 30 against Skill Drain Hand Control. So it's like Skill Drain with the hands and Barbaros and things like that, which is the way that I would play it if I was going to do it as well. But the hands are pretty bad against this deck. You just have lots of ways to play around them. And I go first because I won the die roll. I combo off. He revealed what he was playing, but when I dealt with his first turn, he scooped. I didn't even have game on the board, and he scooped, so I thought it was a bit premature. But he might have just been doing it to save time, because there's no reasonable chance of him coming back from it. Game 2, he's going first this time. I believe he starts with a Ryo, but I think I had Dark Hole for it. And we grind a little bit better, but the hands are still bad against this deck. And I pushed through it all. And he scooped early again. I think he had another turn, but he scooped early. I didn't even have game on board again. I'm not complaining, and he was obviously doing it to save time. Maybe he was hungry and wanted to get food or something, but yeah, he scooped a bit early. So I ended up 7-2, came 29th place after all, and I find out that my opponent for the next day is also playing Infernity, so we're pretty sure it's just going to be a die roll matchup. So the next day we go to top 32, we get these awesome sleeves. They get 2 packs and they make us sleeve in these with one of them. So it's a bit weird that they made us use our prizes, but I can also understand it's obviously to prevent cheating and things. And we've got the really cool Bujin mat as well, which I have over here. I really like it. It's really nice in my opinion. Helps if I put it the right way. Look at it go. Yes, I really like that. So anyway, I actually win the die roll, so I'm pretty confident I'm going to win. because just, it's a really dice rolling matchup. My opening hand is 5 traps and an Armageddon Knight, so I was like, well, fuck. So I summon the Armageddon Knight, send Archfiend, send my 5 traps. I have a warning, so I stop his Exciton Knight, and he passes. And then during my turn, I draw an Instant Fusion. So I play the Instant Fusion, get out a Camion Wizard. I have a Trap Stun as well, so I play that, and I make Master Key Beetle, and I have a Vanity's Emptiness. So I protect the Vanity's Emptiness, and that's all it was. Key Beetle, Vanities, just attacking. And that's all that game was. Game 2, he's going first this time. And he does open with the combo, so kind of unfair that he gets and I don't, but whatever. He combos off, and I have MST for the barrier and Dark Hole. But I have Trap Stun, and I drew Heiress, because of course I do, Armageddon Knight, I believe, and Necromancer. So I don't have any other plays. He's used his launcher, though, and 1 Necromancer, so I'm sort of like, even though my hand is bad, he only has 2 Soul Charges left, because he only ran 2, and 2 Necromancers. So that's 4 cards left in his deck that can then start to pull him back before I draw any of my Soul Charges, any of my Soul Charges, any of my Necromancers, anything like that, So I feel like I'm in a much better position, but he had the Soul Charge, so there wasn't really a lot I could do about that one. We go on to game 3. Again, I don't open with any combo, which seems unfair, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! So I just do what I can turn 1. Then turn 2, I draw Instant Fusion, and I'm like, damn, I can do plays now, and I start thinking if I can OTK him that turn. So I play the Instant Fusion, pay the 1,000 life points, and 5 or 10 seconds later they go, time on the round, because my back was to the clock. And I was so upset about that they called time like after I played the Instant Fusion. And at that point, I was sort of like, well, I kind of have to try and push through damage now. So I exceeded into Lavable Chain, he had Black Horn. Whereas if I'd have just attacked, because I had a Stygian Street Patrol on the field, that would have put me higher ahead on life, and none of his traps would have stopped the battle phase. So I got greedy, and I could have won, but damn. The guy actually ended up coming 3rd overall, though, so congratulations to him. He did play very well, nothing against him, but I feel like I punted it. But, it's my own fault. So, well, this video is getting a bit long now, so I'm going to end it there. If you have any comments or questions, anything, feel free to put them down below, as always. And, yeah, next year, who knows, could be Infernity again, unless they get hit. So, peace out, guys.